Okay, everyone, still no sightings of the new so-called supreme leader of Iran, son of the previous Ayatollah. Now, yesterday, the reporting indicated he hadn't appeared publicly because one of his legs was amputated, either amputated or blown off. Now it appears it could be both legs. Now, one source said his stomach and liver are ruptured as well, and he could be in a coma. Apparently, it happened when the IDF launched an airstrike on the bunker in Tehran where he was holed up with his father on February 28th. Now, his father, of course, was killed in the airstrike. So, if the reporting is accurate, the new leader's been out of service for more than 2 weeks. Now, here's Ben Shapiro.
Allegedly, Mojtaba isn't even conscious, which is why at a ceremony for Mojtaba, where the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps showed up so they could pledge allegiance to him, they used a cardboard cutout of him. I am not joking. Check it out. And they're pledging allegiance, not to him, but to a picture of him, like a poster board they printed at Iranian Kinko's.
Okay, so the poster board from Iranian Kinko's seems to be accurate. Now, in contrast, now this image, a full cardboard cutout, is thought to be AI generated. Now, there's a 73.5% certainty that it's fake. So, the pranksters are celebrating the doom of Iran with AI, just having fun. Now, the reporting indicates that the previous Ayatollah did not want his son to be named supreme leader. Ben Shapiro explains.
According to the New York Post, Mojtaba's dad explicitly left a will saying, "Do not appoint this derelict impotent to replace me." Here is the Post, quote, "Assassinated Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was so opposed to his son taking power that he noted it in his will," experts told the Post. Quote, "In Khamenei's will, he explicitly asked Mojtaba not to be named as a successor. Well, then they appointed Mojtaba anyway."
Now, it seems that Mojtaba, the son, was treated for impotence numerous times after his marriage. But he did have one son who was killed in the strike, along with Mojtaba's wife and his mother. So it's not good to be Mojtaba, not anymore. Now, I mentioned in a previous video that he will not be remembered. I'll just add to that, except for internet memes. Okay, so those are kind of funny. Now, it seems he issued a written statement 4 days after becoming the so-called supreme leader, although the statement was analyzed and determined to have been written for him and then edited in the style of Mojtaba. And the probable editing of the statement is further indication why his father didn't want him to be supreme leader. And what do the analysts say about him? Quote, "An impotent young cleric who had achieved nothing in terms of political life." Another quote, "All these years he has been nothing without his father's name." Now, apparently Mojtaba has no skill in political oratory, and he has no ability to make himself understood to the people either. Now, quite unlike President Trump. Quoted here as saying, "Watch what happens to these deranged scumbags today," speaking about the Iranian regime. So, how did Mojtaba become supreme leader? Now, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, they forced a vote with the Succession Council, many of whom boycotted the election result. The IRGC views Mojtaba as a puppet, and it's probable that the IRGC wrote the statement that was released and edited in the style of Mojtaba, which is not a compelling style, as I mentioned. Now, some excerpts from the statement said, and I quote, "I assure everyone that we will not refrain from avenging the blood of your martyrs." Will not refrain from? Okay. Now, the retaliation we have in mind is not limited only to the martyrdom of the great leader of the revolution. His father, in other words. Rather, every member of the nation who is martyred by the enemy constitutes a separate case in the file of revenge. Well, that one's not too bad. Now, here's video of the airstrike on the bunker in Tehran. The written statement goes on, quoting, "Our sincere thanks go to our brave fighters who, at a time when our nation and beloved homeland have been unjustly attacked by the leaders of the Front of Arrogance, have blocked the enemy's path with their powerful blows and dispelled their illusion of being able to dominate our beloved country or possibly divide it." Possibly. Just a bit verbose there. Then the message calls for Iran's allies to rise up. Now, maybe this refers to terror cells abroad. Now, in the U.S. alone, there have been 4 terror attacks since the conflict began. Austin, Texas. Now, this individual killed 3 Americans and injured 14. He was killed by police. He wore a sweatshirt that said, "Property of Allah." Okay, New York City, these 2 avowed ISIS supporters threw homemade nail bombs, which failed to explode. Now, Detroit, an individual rammed his car into a synagogue. He was killed. 1 injury at the synagogue, no deaths. Now, the night before the attack, he had posted photos of family members killed in Lebanon by an Israeli airstrike. So obviously, his family were Hezbollah members. Okay, Norfolk, Virginia. A convicted terrorist, convicted. He had pled guilty to working with ISIS. He was sentenced to 11 years and released 4 years early. He stormed into a classroom at Old Dominion University, asked if it was ROTC. They said yes. He yelled, "Allahu Akbar," fired at the instructor, a retired military officer, killing him. A student in the class, ROTC, subdued the gunman by stabbing him to death. So, the New York City suspects are the only ones who survived. They're now facing federal charges, and it looks like they would be popular in prison. Okay, back to the written statement. Allegedly Mojtaba, goes on to say, "The lever of closing the Strait of Hormuz must certainly continue to be used as well. Studies have also been conducted on opening other fronts in which the enemy has little experience and would be highly vulnerable. Their activation will take place if the wartime situation continues and in accordance with considerations of expediency." So the writing style, the style of Mojtaba, isn't compelling to my ears. But the ISIS fandom seems to like it. They won't like it in prison, though, I'll say that. U.S. taxpayers do not pay for comfy prisons, okay? No steak and lobster in prison, sorry. That's reserved for our troops.
Brothers Defect has steak and lobster. How's your steak and lobster?
All right, damn near decent.
How's yours?
I'm ready for war.
We're going to war.
In theater,
my God.
troops who are going to war.
Oh my God.
Great meal. You know that.
They're
You
getting
know
lobster.
that.
You are so
You're gonna
full
get
of it.
killed over this.
You are
You're
so
gonna get
full
killed
of
over
it.
this. Internet,
No.
do something.
I might have to double it. I had to run it back.
He has spent $15 million in 1 month for ribeye steak.
Now, Secretary of War Hegseth was under fire by Democrats because he spent $15.1 million on ribeye steak and $6.9 million on lobster tail. Now, that's comparable to what Lloyd Austin had spent to feed our troops who are in harm's way during Biden's presidency. Now, it keeps morale up, and it's for special occasions, including extended deployments. Now, according to this tweet, our troops ate steak during Obama's presidency as well. Now, this post says, and I quote, "There is a disconnect between the American people and those who serve them. Until that gap is closed, there will be a lack of understanding around what service members and veterans go through. Today it's lobster, tomorrow it's veterans' benefits." Now, this post talks about the civilian-military divide, which continues to grow. Quote, "Occasionally we got steak and lobster when deployed. The steaks weren't that great," unquote. Now, we got steak and lobster on special meals and holidays. Was it good? Truthfully, no. So I would say to Democrats and liberals, don't be resentful of our military. They keep us safe. America wouldn't be America without our troops. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.